So Hajra, did you ever face like when you entered, I guess, media industry or TV when you started working, did you ever, face any kind of, episode, which made you think, do I really want to work in this field?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I think we all have been there, right?
Yeah.
And that is the dark side of the media industry, especially the South Asian. Jabke we have great productivity, we've got great talent, but we also have that really dark side that maybe sometimes people don't talk about because they just want to stay in the industry.
They don't want to be seen as a victim, or they
Yeah.
just don't want to be associated with that.
And if they
Or
speak
they're scared.
up or they ever do, then you're not going to get work anymore, right?
What was your experience?
So I worked with a lot of channels,
Yeah.
and there was one incident that I had, and it was with a very trusted person. So I used to do a lot of foreign, like I used to travel a lot. So I used to do New York and Europe and so on, and host Independence Day, Pakistan Independence Day shows there.
Ah.
And because I was really young when I also started, I always used to take my sister along with me.
Ah.
ठीक है? And I'm so glad I did. ठीक है? So I had either my sister or a friend, and we used to go. So काम भी हो जाता था, and then there was a free day or free afternoon or something where you could just hang out and have fun as well. And I had been doing this for years, and then there was this one incident which was so scary that I never wanted to talk about it, but here I am because you've asked me this question and we're doing this podcast. And this is a learning point for everybody who's watching, and they're young girls and
Young
obviously
boys.
boys also who are coming in the industry. And I don't know how bad it is for them, but it can be scary. So you have to protect yourself. So I was staying in a hotel, obviously, hosting a show in the morning. So I had to still continue my work in the morning after this ordeal that I went in the evening. This one person from production kept knocking my door all night.
Oh my God.
All night. And my sister was with me. I did not sleep
Wow.
all night. And he demanded that I open the door and demanded that we go out on a date. And
What?
giving me make me cold right now. I was so scared. I didn't know what to do because again you're in a foreign country, and said all sorts of inappropriate things. And here I am with my sister, really scared, holding the door all night, sitting by the door. We didn't know what to do. रात तो गुजर गई somehow.
Was there anyone you could have reported him to, or you didn't feel
At that
safe
time, we
that
couldn't do
person
anything.
will be
At
Raat
that
came
time, you
up?
couldn't do anything, right? You're so like, who do you call? And this is the person that you're trusting, and the crew is there, and they're all juniors and so on. So what do you do? And we all, I remember that one night that we held the door, sat by the door, both of us, and we continued. And we had to wake up in the morning and continue my work also professionally, which I got it done. And when I came back, and I went to my employer, and I didn't, again, you're young, you don't know who to say what to, right? So I went to my bosses and I said, I don't want to work here anymore, I'm done, and thank you. So they thought something was wrong, right? So they called me back, and they were very nice. So they said, no, there is something else, something has happened, someone has upset you. What has happened? So no, I don't want to explain, I don't want to talk about it, so on. And then because I was also being told by people at work who were friends with this one person कि bosses को कुछ नहीं बताना, like let it be, right? And I'm thinking, because and then giving me all the sympathy cards. This person has a family, he has this, and mistake ho gayi, the person was drunk and whatever and so on.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, maybe my dignity is that I quit this job and I don't do this anymore. I'm glad my bosses were understanding. They sat me down, I opened up, and I told them exactly what happened. They sacked the person on the spot. They took action, and I got a lot of backlash from people who were obviously in his team and told me, तुमने बड़ा गलत किया, इस तरह नहीं करना चाहिए था, दिल में रहम होना चाहिए, and so on. But I'm so glad I did what I did then. I stood for myself. It was a delay, but the backing was my employers were very understanding.
God.
They helped me, and they made me realize, no, you need to speak up. What is wrong. What's happened with you today can happen with any other
It can happen
girl.
worse.
Right? And God knows it could have happened any worse.
Yeah.
So, that was the only one incident that was really bad.
Okay.
And it resolved in such a way that I continued working, and it never stopped me from working. But you've done deeper stuff. You've worked in Pakistan.
No,
You must
yeah.
have stories.
I mean, look, it's not just about. But first of all, I commend you on sharing what you went through, and I'm a firm believer that if this is happening, one should name and shame and bring these people into light, because there's no point in protecting people that are making you feel uncomfortable. Or I mean, but honestly, what you're saying, where this person was knocking on your door all night and trying to get you to open the door, that is real harassment.
Yeah.
And that could have led to, like, what are we talking about? Rape? Are we talking about what kind of coercion? The fact that he was already scaring the single girl who was there in a professional environment, he's already like stepping all sorts of lines.
Yeah.
And this is almost like a crime. It's and I think people should be named, shamed, and held accountable, because you never know, a smaller indiscretion can lead to a larger indiscretion further down the line. And people get, I think, empowered and
Yeah.
emboldened by getting away with stuff. So
Yeah.
I do commend you, and I also commend your employers for sacking him,
Yeah.
and hopefully making his name like quite public, so that people are wary. I believe that. I think I have just it's just too messy a world, and people that are doing what this guy did, unless he really learned. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I'll tell you before you start
Talk-
your story,
yeah,
that
yeah.
he came up to me face to face, I remember, and apologized and everything. And I was so young, and I looked him in the eye, and I told him, I saw you as a father figure, and for you to say all of this
Yeah.
to me, is unacceptable.
And that can lead to trust issues. It can lead to a lot of mental health
Yeah,
issues for
so
you.
you-
And thank God you were able to deal with it however you did. But it's not okay. But it's not about just South Asia or Pakistan. I mean, obviously, famously, we all know about Harvey Weinstein and the
Yeah.
Me Too scandal, and how
Yeah.
that being in media or TV, film industry, people in power do hold so much clout, that, or power, I guess people in
Yeah.
power hold so much power they can abuse that power, as he did, and as many people in Pakistan and all over the world do. And that's dangerous, because you have these young impressionable girls and boys that are desperate to make it, that they will do anything to make it. And then so you've got all these vulnerable young people, attractive people, that you can sort of manipulate for your own advantage, because they desperately need something from you, and they'll go to any lengths to get famous. There's a lot of that, right? Like aap kuch bhi kar loge to get your your path to success or fame. So I mean, boys and girls in Pakistan and all over the world there's a casting couch thingy. Or ladke bhi in the fashion industry, there's many designers, producers, people who are like with young kids. They want to either use them for sex, or also I was lucky in the sense that when I started acting in Pakistan, I already had my khala, and then Zia Mohyuddin, my khalu. So these are people that were known. Chunno Khala had already started acting. So when she took me to meet producers, I think if you come from like a family member and they take you in an older person, that gives you some kind of protection. So because she was making me meet people and they knew our family, I think people were careful with me and they didn't really try much, because they knew. And I've noticed on set in dramas and stuff, even in movies, a lot of the young girls that come, they come with their mom. And I know why they come, because they're young, they're impressionable.
Yeah.
कोई उनसे कुछ कह दे, the parents don't
Yeah.
want. They're like,
Yeah.
अगर आप इस field में जा ही रहे हैं,
Yeah.
जहाँ आप you're doing intimate scenes with people, the director and you are working intimately with the actors, they will bring their parents, or they're usually it's I see a mom with young girls, ताकि they're there and they feel safe and secure, and I like that's necessary. So if
Yeah.
you can do that, but there's plenty of girls that don't have that, like they don't have the mom who can give the entire day and months and months and months to come with them and sit on set and do nothing else. They don't have that, and I've seen the way they've been treated, and lots of like dark side me. You get like you don't get paid on time. In my first project, I wasn't paid until they needed me to come back for like a season 2 or something.
हाँ.
So they just said, भाई she's new,
हाँ.
ये complain भी करेगी तो कुछ नहीं होगा. ये बहुत लोगों के साथ होता है कि आपको payment time पे भी नहीं exploit करते हैं, आपको पैसे ही नहीं देते.
Yeah.
Then they needed me for season 2, so then I said I'm not going to come back unless you pay me. अच्छा ये हो गया. I've seen like crew members be mistreated, खाना time पे नहीं मिल रहा उनको, वो भी पैसों की वो वाली exploitation हो रही होती है. Then people
Overworked also.
overworked, in I don't know if this happens in Pakistan, it hasn't happened with me, but in Hollywood people famously would give actors uppers like drugs to keep them working longer than they needed to. They would encourage like maybe divorces, these kinds of things, because an actor that's married and then an actor that's getting pregnant and having child, that's not good for their career. So you would like kind of try to manipulate that so you can suck as much work out of them as you want, and then the actor also wants to continue working. So there's that kind of darkness to it. Quite many years after I started acting, I got a phone call, and this is a very well-known person, and now 2, 3, 4, like quite a handful of people that I respect and have worked with or respect are working as like pimps out there, and I didn't know that. And other people are like, don't you know that they do this as well? And I'm like, ooh, okay. Now like again, there's a huge market for of maybe men, or maybe it's also women who want to sleep with or want to date or want to hang out with celebrities, right? There are tons and tons of people that want to like be close to people that they see on screen. So then you have these people that are circulating, and they have other jobs as well, but they're also acting as like managers, or they're kind of acting as I don't know what the word is, but like connectors. So someone called me, and this person is very famous. They also have their own chat show. I just said I want to name, but like I suppose they do it.
No, but okay, tell me the story now.
The story is that they just called me, and they were like, and I had already heard that this person likes to offer girls as dates or more. Like there are certain men who are willing to pay a lot to be with an actress, right? ये तो पता ही है.
So you got that call?
I got a call, and this person was very smart. They didn't just say, "Gee, Annie, how much will you charge for a night with a man?" ऐसा नहीं था. They were just like, "कैसी हो? क्या कर रही हो? अच्छा बताओ ना. और क्या दिल चाहता है?" Like that. So not just straight up gauging my responses. And then when I was very no nonsense, I was बताएं कोई project है. Like, do you want me to come on your show? What is it? And they were just trying to like assess, is this someone I can take this conversation further with? So they're smart about it. They're not immediately going to put themselves out there as well, and then like they don't want me to say कि उसने ये कहा, because they actually never said it. So but I could see that she was just trying to be very smooth about it and just asking me questions, and I was very like no nonsense, like tell me, like what is this about and what do you need? Because I'm busy, but if it's about work, spit it out.
Okay.
And I think from them they were like, अच्छा ठीक है, इनसे नहीं, let's not take this. I was like, अच्छा नहीं, बस मैं ऐसे ही phone किया था. अच्छा चलो ठीक है.
You knew this because the person had a certain sort of reputation that
I'd already been told, be wary if you
okay.
get a call, this person likes to connect you with clients. You look, I'm not going to, and I know so many actresses that have fallen in the trap.
Yeah.
They needed extra money. They're coming. Look, there's a lot of people that are coming from, you don't know their background. They're pressed for cash. They need money quickly, and so they will go on dates with these men, or do things for money. I'm not judging them. But I'm just saying it can be the dark side if it's something that they don't want to, because there's a lot of girls who don't want to, but they're being, like for quick cash, they're like, bhai, wo aapko paise dega. Just go out with him, or just sleep with him one night. Tumhe kya hai? Next day tumhe pata bhi nahi chalega. You just take a shower and, that's one of the sides. We know that sex, like the dark side of the sex and media industry, that's a big thing. Drugs,
and then the lack of regulations also, right? So if you're a newcomer, as you said, then the struggles are way harsh, right? And if as you said, you had your family already in the industry, so they knew that she's known, there's her khala's there, your khalus there also, right? So they knew, okay, we can't exploit her, we can't. But have you ever felt that you were replaced by somebody else because their lack of regulations? They can change their mind, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, I think contracts, and I was reading that in Hollywood, the studios would have these contracts where they could replace you on any, like they had so many different clauses. So they were protected. So they
Yeah.
could do things, if they wanted to do last minute. I mean, I know that we,
Yeah.
was
I
I
remember I was
replaced?
replaced by somebody, and
Oh, yeah.
I was younger, but replaced by somebody who was way older than me. And even though I fit the criteria of the age and everything, but the person that I was replaced, and obviously the criteria was, okay, this age and so on, whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is my criteria. And then when I was told I was replaced by so and so, I'm like, yeah, but this person is also 10 years older than me, and how do they fit the criteria? They're like, yeah, because they're really famous, right? So they can be any age. So there are things like that you have to, there's constant disappointments also that can happen with you, where you're doing certain projects, and then overnight you're not.
I think the dark side of the industry, I mean, it also affects, especially the younger actors or younger singers. How are they protected uh, from many many things? We know that many famous people that got famous when they were very very young are now, when they grow up, they're like on drugs, or they're depressed. They just don't know, like they got fame too fast. They weren't well protected when they were on set. They were being manipulated, they were being used, they didn't fully form as adults, and then they don't know anything but that, and then they sort of fall into
Yeah.
these traps. So, like, how do we protect them? Now, I think a lot of good, companies, producers, studios uh, have like therapists on set.
Yeah.
They have, mental health experts, I guess, to keep, giving that kind of service to the actors.
With regards to the children that you mentioned in the industry, especially Pakistani media, I see a lot of on the breakfast shows also. I see all these little kids coming, and their parents are happily bringing them because they're generating a great income. Okay?
Yeah.
They're there and they're all doing great. They're making light jokes, funny. They look cute and all, whatever. Okay? But it's I just really would like to understand. Are they going to school? Are they getting educated? Are they just doing this? And their parents are putting them out there on television.
Yeah.
And what sort of protection do they really have? And I guess the children are doing it out of choice. Can they make that decision at that age, or their
Yeah.
parents exploiting them really because
It's
they
probably a
bring
mix of
a mix of
that,
all of
yeah.
that. Until you're of a certain age and you can decide, okay, yes, I want to get into the media and I want to do this. Because now up to ye bhi tum dekh lo na, there's all these TikTokers, and there's YouTube on there, and you see these really young kids. Oh my God, do you remember there was this little boy called Ryan who used to make these YouTube shows, and then one day I went to Toys R Us, and then यहाँ पूरा aisle पड़ा हुआ है, उसके toys पड़े हुए हैं. So these young kids are there making all these videos in their house, and of themselves playing and their families, and they're putting themselves out there. But it's how they can be exploited is beyond me, and how parents are letting their children on social media or letting them on television,
Yeah.
because it is a mean world out there. Also body image, ye bhi tum dekh lo na, like the pressure that we're not social media, we're from television background. The pressure you have to look a certain way to be on television, right?
Yeah, and how you get cast aside when you're
Yeah.
aging or when you're getting older, and especially the industry is much harsher to women
Yeah.
than it is to men. Men look distinguished, and they have they can get even like aging like a fine wine or whatever.
Absolutely.
Women
And
का
men, yeah, they
ऐसा
do.
नहीं होता
And women
है.
का नहीं होता,
अच्छा
right?
जी, आप नहीं, आप मेन लीड नहीं
हाँ.
ना, मतलब ये होता है, we see that.
Which is also natural progression of life, but the pressure is there, right?
I think people just aren't as interested in hearing about middle-aged and older ladies and their fantastic stories as they are about men. Constantly, you still see so. But you know what? In that regard, I do really like the fact a Pakistani TV industry, most of the protagonists are women.
Yes,
Whether
now,
अब उनको
now more than ever.
yeah, because you know, like औरतों की कहानियां हैं,
बिल्कुल.
and you do have some stories about older women, and that's also very interesting. It's not enough, but it is there. I mean, another dark aspect of media is obviously the trolling. Like, and you know, I mean, you know, especially when it's
Yeah.
online, because you can hide behind a facade, you don't have to give your identity or your face, and you can be as mean and as careless with your remarks. You can make horrendous videos. You can really like sit and
Yeah.
focus on some blooper of someone and then really just attack. You know, that
Because-
having to deal with that, you need a very thick skin.
Because you've got keyboard warriors sitting there, they're faceless, nameless. They've
Yeah.
got user 2955222, and all they're
किसी और की
doing,
तस्वीर.
but tasveer bhi nahi without tasveer, and they're just sitting there just to upset somebody and ruin someone's day or just mental health also. I mean, you know, you tell me that how difficult do you find separating, which you have to anyway, separate your personal and professional life. But the minute you sort of try to mix it and be a bit light-hearted, the backlash you get, bhai, if you are playing a role, you are Samjha or whatever role you remember as, what, give me a role, Sakina or some name or somebody that you were, but you're not that in real life, right?
आपने ऐसा क्यों कर
हाँ,
लिया
आपने
like
क्यों
that?
है, हाँ,
आपके
हाँ,
अगर टीवी या फिल्म पर्सनालिटी ने ये चीज की तो आप मतलब you are that person.
Yeah,
They
you are
can't
that person.
distinguish. But I used to get a lot of like, and all actresses anywhere in the world will get horrible comments अगर आपने कुछ कपड़े पहन लिए लोगों को अच्छा नहीं लगा ये वो. और फिर you have those, you know, religious fanat मतलब also कि आपने ये पहन लिए जहन्नम में जलने लाहौल वगैरह कुव्वत आपका नाम शिया है ये कैसी behavior है. You have to just have a really thick skin to deal with that. And I've also confronted some of them, especially when they were like, oh, you look older. And I'm like, that was 15 years ago. I mean, you know, 15 years have passed. So what a funny, you know. So I've confronted some. I don't have, but I think you just need a thick skin. And yeah, I don't know. Like that's just something.
How
that
do you
have
take
to deal
trolling?
with.
Do you, when you get trolled and people leave nasty comments,
Yeah.
do you fight it back? Do you reply back?
I mean, first of all, if I have the time, if it's caught my eye, and if I think it's worth it, you know, sometimes it isn't. You just have to ignore. But sometimes if they bring up something which is really like you think it's inappropriate, then I think if you have the time and you can spend that, you know, bit of effort, then why not? And then yeah, absolutely, I have. And I think I've gotten good feedback on that as well. And people have said, you know, thank you for that. You know, sometimes people should be confronted. Of course, we're not going to read all the messages, especially we have these public profiles and a lot of followers. You can't go after, you can't retort to everybody. And the thing is, people, and I think we all have this, we're conditioned to the negative remarks stay with us longer a lot of the time.
I just delete them. Not that I get, I don't want them. I'm not saying I get enough, but I don't want them at all also. I just delete.
But do you agree that people sometimes only write when they want to write a negative
course.
review, right?
Or
positive
listen,
reviews.
just go on general social media and Google में चले जाओ किसी restaurant का review ढूंढ रहे हो. You know, 9 out of 10 times it's all a negative review.
People are more motivated.
Yeah, they're more
unfortunately,
motivated to
write
a bad
than
review.
to praise.
Yeah, of course.
That's
people
sad.
don't want to praise.
And then apparently algorithms and
Yeah.
all. I don't know if this is, but I was reading that they feed off negative comments because anything that's controversial, a little bit negative, has more views and sells more.
Yeah.
And obviously everybody wants to have their post or their quote seen.
Have you seen those thumbnails on YouTube? They want something disturbing for people to click. It's just all clickbait now. People want to watch something disturbing, bad news, something that's viral. It's all that. This constant attention seeking, you know.
Some people will just make comments just to be attention. Exactly. And then these companies, if they start deleting the negative comments, then that hurts their business because it's not bringing in as many views. So it is a bit of a vicious cycle, this whole social media, online trolling, how to sort of. But I think the one thing I've learned is to develop a thick skin. But then again, when you're very young and you don't have that thick skin, how are you protected and how do you sort of navigate that? So I guess you need
a thick skin also. You need, as you said, you do need thick skin, and other than that, you karni padti hai, you know, you can't. And there was another point that I really wanted to mention, which is failure as well, right? Like you want to make it big, you want to have a big break, you're waiting for that thing, you know,
Yeah.
you're waiting to be on the billboard or something. मैं करता रहूं something, you know, the struggle of spending years. Like, when does someone give up? Do you even give up? Do you continue? Like,
Well, that's,
you know,
yeah.
that is one dark side as well. You know, you're like, either you could be a singer, you could be an actor, you could be in any sort of field, and you're constantly, consistently making work, and maybe no one's there telling you it's good or bad, or you don't know whether you're really good at what you do. It's a very tough one.
You start equating your worth with your fame as well, right? Because when you're an actor, especially, or a TV host, any media personality, you are the product in a way.
Yes.
So that's how it's different to, you know, other jobs. You know, if I'm an accountant, my accounting skills, but here
Yeah.
it's Ainy&Hajra, the actor, who is the product, who is being judged for being herself,
Self.
or, you know, so
So we need
your
constant validation.
your image gets like, who am I, and then my product that I'm selling, it all becomes one. So your self-worth is so uh, is so mixed up with how famous you are, what people think of you, and then you're right. Once that fame starts going, if you don't have other stuff happening in your life that isn't well run, if you don't have family, a good circle of trustworthy friends,
Yeah.
something else, maybe an alternative career as well, then you can just go into this crazy loop, and then you'll have mental health issues, depression. You're going to tackle.
Yeah.
You can go into drugs. So you have a lot of people that. That's the natural sort of trajectory for them, because they don't
Yeah.
know anything else. That's why now a lot of people are encouraged, especially after COVID. The industry is very competitive. Paise hain nahi, advertisers don't have as much money because, again, of social media. You don't have that same kind of, you know, like, so much is happening for free that you're not getting paid, because people are just promoting things, and it's not costing much.
Yeah.
So you're not getting paid that much. That's what these brands were explaining to me. They were like, आप पहले ज़माने में जब आप लोग एड्स करते थे तो 20-30 लाख इतने सारे मिल रहे थे, बट अब सोशल मीडिया पे सब कुछ हो रहा है, कोई टेलीविजन कमर्शियल देख ही नहीं रहा है, तो वो पैसे ही नहीं है, वो बजट्स ही नहीं है.
Yeah, but that's a totally different thing now, because social media is, I would still separate that slightly from television, and the dark side of television is different to the dark side of social media.
I was just trying to say that if you don't have another job going for
true.
you, then you can go into this crazy depressed loop.
Because we need
You
constant
need something
validation.
else also
we
in
also
your life.
in television,
Yeah.
you need that validation. What you're doing, should you still keep doing it? Are you still relevant? People still enjoy watching you. You know, that constant thing is there with us. And depending on also what work you keep getting. If you're not, I mean, if you're sitting there doing, you know, boring things, and you're not getting big projects or good projects,
Yeah.
you feel you're not good enough.
Yeah, you know, when I moved, actually, when I wasn't working as much, I was like, you know, what's going on? But then, Alhamdulillah, I have a loving family. I have a great set of friends. I have other things to keep me. You know, I have my son. I did a bit of writing. Now we started our podcast, but there's things you just
do
need
theatre
to keep
as
yourself.
well.
And I'm doing my theatre,
Theatre
you know,
as
and
well.
I've been putting on
But
plays.
also, you're far away from, you know, where you normally would get a lot of work also, right? Your acting is not, yahan itni nahi hoti.
Also, I kept
you know?
my personal life very, very separate from my work life, and
Which
I
you got to do.
really invest in my personal life a
Yeah,
lot. So
yeah.
that keeps me so. It makes me feel so whole that if that goes away, I'm okay, because I have a lot going on. You need a balance.
Yeah.
You need to be balanced. But yeah, so but listen, guys, it's not all negative and bad. I mean, being an actor, being a host, it can be a lot of fun. You just have to make sure, who are you working with? Does the team resonate? The people that you're working with, do they, you know, do they share the same values as you?
Yes.
Work ethic. You need to have your timings. You need to put everything down on the line. People are afraid of that. You know, they're afraid of saying, मुझे घर इस वक्त जाना है, मुझे सिर्फ 12 घंटे काम करना है. They're afraid of it because फिर 50 और लोग हैं जो 24 घंटे काम करेंगे, पैसे भी नहीं मिल रहे, just because उनको उस industry में in होना है. तो ये भी तो, like you said, regulation की issue है.
Safe environment, put your foot down, know exactly what you're getting into. Just don't bichawfy like you're like 24/7 available. You know, please have your personal life. It's very, very important, and do other stuff as well, and just take it as work and enjoy it also. Don't become miserable in it, and don't become competitive about it, because you're not going to get anywhere. Just be very wary of people you work with. There's so many people out there scamming people in the name of, you know, हम आपको ये काम दिला देंगे, वो काम दिला देंगे. don't fall in the traps for all the young and the young girl and boys out there.
Even as an established actor, I would look at my contracts, and there were these agencies who were getting you ads, and they would make you sign the contract first, and then they would fill in the amounts, because what they were doing is they were telling the producers or the ad agencies or the brands a certain amount and saying, this is how much I'm charging for Annie Jaffrey or X, Y, and Z actor, but they would take a lot more.
Okay.
And they don't tell you, but then if you tell on them, then they're not going to promote you. So it's again a vicious cycle. I think one of the biggest issues is regulation. In Pakistan, you don't have agents, you don't have managers, some are shady, some are not. Everybody wants to make a quick buck off you. Who can you trust? It is important to just have a good team of people that you can trust, who have your back. Because it is an unregulated industry, and there's a lot of people who are doing things. बल्कि बहुत जगह में ये होता है कि आप free में क्यों नहीं काम कर लेते आप, because there are so many people who just want to get on screen and be seen, तो वो free में भी काम से you abuse them.
Or free, calm or free. It's not a hobby. It's calm. So free में काम नहीं होता.
बल्कि अभी मैंने हाजरा से
let's put that in our head. Let's sink in. Okay, hobby free में करते हैं. Whatever you're doing for yourself, spending time and whatever and so on. If I want to make an art piece or make a TikTok reel with Ainy right now, that's hobby, that's free. But if someone wants to work with you, please do not work for anybody for free. Let's not start like that. Okay? Then don't regret it later. And don't think, oh, I'm doing it for free because if I do it, on the back of it, I'll eventually get so-and-so in my portfolio and so-and-so. Don't fall in this trap because it's messing it for everybody. The day everything started for free, it's when people stopped getting paid for what they used to do. Try to understand that. A lot of people have ruined it for people who were actually getting paid for their hard-earned money. So
I was actually asking you that. I was saying, Hajra, I've been approached by a brand. They are new. They're not one of the big ones. So their turnover and their price point is not so high. But they're saying, hum aapko joda bhej dein. Can you promote it? So, I mean, in a sense, that's not completely free because you're getting the clothes for free. But then you said,
but that's how they're going to get their work out of you, right? And you're not understanding.
Yeah.
You are taking the time. It's like, are you sitting in a shalwar kameez? I've not even seen you in one shalwar kameez since we've done one podcast. Other than, you're going to dress up, you're going to do your makeup, you're going to do your hair. It's going to take you an hour. Let's get that, okay? Then you're going to wear a lovely outfit given by them. Perfect. Then you're going to figure out who's going to take all these pictures of you. Then they take those pictures and then you might edit them a little bit. And then you might, like the time that you spent in doing that, calm tha.
That's true.
So let's respect everybody's work. Let's not step on anybody's toes. Everybody deserves to be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could go on and on about the dark side, but I think we'll shut up now.
And the next episode, sometimes we'll talk about the good side of it.
Yeah.
And they are, obviously, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing what we're doing, because there are amazing benefits and, good things about it too. But, just for all the young people who want to get into it, and you probably get messages, and I get messages, बताएं कैसे इसमें घुसना है, whatever, पहले ये सोच समझ के घुसो ना.
एक लास्ट चीज़ ये भी है कि लिटरली पीपल थिंक कि जो सारी एक्ट्रेसेस वो प्रोस्टिट्यूट्स होंगी, ये भी है एक डार्क साइड कि आपकी जो people just associate that. And I was watching a show, अभी White Lotus, it's very famous. उसमें भी I think Parker Posey says, aren't all actresses just, prostitutes anyways? And then they all have a little laugh and a snigger, except, maybe one person. But there is that perception that if she is acting or if he is, they must be loose in a certain way. So there's that as well. It still comes with stigma. It has become much better, but there is a stigma sort of associated. If she's on screen, she must be a bit of a loosey-goosey and this and that. So there's that. We also battle
But that's
that
a misconception also, right? Like anyone who's confident, who is headstrong and, knows how to hold herself is easily tez hai. You must have heard those like horrible words. Tez hoti hai, chalak hai, and pata nahi kaun se weird words, and you're just confident and you're just headstrong and you know what you like and what you want and what you want to do in life. With that,
we're gonna chalak Hajra and chalak Obasi.
Once actually, yes, I remember once I got called chalak lomri.
Oi hoi hoi. like a clever fox is not a bad thing to be called. So you should have said thank you for the compliment. I'm a clever fox.
No,
That's
but
what they were saying.
when they
Foxy
said it,
lady.
when they said it back then, this is God knows how
They
many
were
years
trying.
ago, I was like, "Iska kya matlab hai?" But anyway, yeah.
अब ये दो चालाक लोमड़ी खुदाफिज कहेंगी, and we will see you next week. This is Ainy&Hajra.
Unscripted.
I finally got it.